in front of the camera. That's good luck, you know. You see them flying around. That's good luck. It's like a feather out in nature. Welcome. I'm Carly, and this is Owning Authenticity. This is the avocado that I'm holding. And this is the latest installment in a whole series on the Aries North Node Transit. So that is coming up July of 2023. At the time of recording this, it's coming up. July of 2023 through January of 2025. So about 18 months, we're going to have the North Node moving through Aries. And for whatever reason, if you've been watching the whole series, you know this transit is really speaking to me for whatever reason. And as it is downloading this energy and the layers of it, I feel myself healing in this process and getting up to speed with this transit myself and unlocking all the little chambers of healing myself. It has been incredibly inspirational to share it on my channel. And so if you've been enjoying the series, I'm so glad. I would love to hear from you down below. If this is the first video you're catching, no worries at all. You can totally take them in whatever order you want. This one itself will stand alone just fine. Just know that there are 5 other videos in this series, and this is number 6. So welcome everyone. We are here to talk about the rulers of these nodes. So this is something that, you know, rulership in astrology, to give you a very basic version, it's like every one of the 12 zodiac signs have a planet that's associated with them. This was something that was done back in traditional astrology, like when they were first kind of making it up as they understood it. So each sign has a planet associated with it, and that planet then, as it travels through all the signs of the zodiac, it's kind of like the scout on behalf of that energy. And so basically, because we have the, you know, through this transit, we'll have the North Node moving through Aries and the South Node moving through Libra. And that means that the North Node this go round will be ruled by Mars, and the South Node will be ruled by Venus. And the reason this whole video exists is because, you know, as I was following the Taurus North Node transit, I was very aware that the Taurus North Node is ruled by Venus, and the Scorpio South Node in traditional astrology would have been ruled by Mars. In my deep dive video on the subject, which is also linked in the description if you do want to look back at the last cycle we had of the Taurus Scorpio nodes, you can check that out. And in that video, I did talk more about Pluto for Scorpio, the modern ruler of Scorpio, for the purposes of what I was feeling through the energy. And I also want to just loop back to that then and say that, like, really the traditional ruler of Scorpio is Mars. I heard a tarot reader that I love, Lotus Tile Tarot, the other day. She said that she thinks of Scorpio as the incognito fire sign. Like it's like the fire sign that snuck into the water tribe, I think is how she put it. And it really made me chuckle. Because Scorpio is ruled by Mars. There's so much. Oh, it's hard to say it's not fiery, right? Even though it is a water sign. So anyways, I didn't really dive into that before, and I'm not going to get a whole lot more back into Scorpio. But I am going to share this connection, this aha moment that I had, as then I'm tracking this second cycle that I'm paying attention to, right? Not the second cycle ever, but since I came to know about what's going on in the nodes. Now that I'm looking at the Aries North Node, we have the rulers reversing positions, right? So the Taurus North Node ruled by Venus now becomes the Aries North Node ruled by Mars. So the North Nodes are switching, and same on the other end. The South Node, Scorpio ruled by Mars, will now be the Libra South Node ruled by Venus. So like they're switching, and I'm going to put a little diagram here. I haven't even made it yet because I'm still like really trying to grasp all this and put it together. But it's like they do this process every time, right? Like this is the normal nodal cycle that it takes 18 and a half years for the nodes to go all the way around. So every 18 and a half years, we have this process of the Taurus North Node, Venus ruled North Node, and then the Mars ruled North Node, and the South Node doing that same switch. And then on the flip side, right? So like that's every 18 and a half years, we have that exact cycle where it's North Node through Venus ruled first, and then North Node through Mars ruled. And to go ahead and lay in a piece, this is not a great, perfect. It's maybe great, but definitely not perfect. Like piece of these archetypes is that Mars is historically a much more masculine archetype, while Venus is feminine archetype. I say it's not perfect because Mars, this masculine archetype, rules Scorpio, which is a feminine water sign planet. So what's up with that, right? And then you also have Venus, this feminine archetype, ruling over Libra, which is a masculine archetype. So again, like, it's not perfect. Like, basically, even the planets, even Mars and Venus, have their masculine and feminine, just like all of us. We all have masculine and feminine. We all have light and dark. No matter what kind of a gender biological situation you got going on an energetic soul level, you are masculine, you are feminine. This is what I believe. Nobody else in the world has to believe it, but it really makes my life process a lot more sane to know this. And so I share it here because this is part of how I'm understanding this. So you think about, like, basically boil that way down into a very oversimplified, fully admitting oversimplified essence. Meow meow, Lolo. You gonna come say hi? Oh, Lolo. She's feeling it. Yeah, you are. Am I doing okay? You think I'm doing a good job? Could it, yeah? Oh. You have any other words of wisdom for us, Lolo? That's all for now. So, what could it be? Yeah? She wants you to see her, I think. Where'd you go? Where is she? She's hiding. Oh, there she is. Lolo! And then you have Scooby come out from under the bed just to get to say hello. Oh my goodness. You better get back under that bed, Scoober. What you got to say to the people at home? You want to share some love with them? Tell them some encouragements? What she wants you to know is that your presence is more than enough. Just being. Just being in the world is encouragement enough. Right, Lolo? We just be. Scooby. Oh my gosh. Well, that was fun. That was a fun little detour. So every 18 and a half years, we have this cycle of the North Node moving through Venus's sign, and then the North Node moving through Mars's sign, Taurus, and then Aries. Every 18 and a half years, we have the North Node first opening us up to our feminine and really anchoring into the power of our feminine is basically what's happening for me in these last 18 months of the North Node moving through Taurus, which is not really at all what I expected, except I did expect more embodiment, but I don't think I knew what that meant at the time that I recorded the Taurus North Node deep dive. So I knew and I didn't know. And now I know that embodiment really is the feminine principle. It's the the surrendering to what is. It's the allowing of what is. It's the surrender to what's natural. It's nature. It's chaos. It's out of control. It's unpredictable. It's, in the masculine feminine, you could also say that that's the light and the dark. Like the sun is the masculine. The sun is very bright and outgoing and gives life and is everything. It's like nutrients itself. And then you have the moon, which is the feminine, which lights up the darkness. It doesn't need everything to shine. It can shine with nothing. It doesn't try to be everything to everybody. It just is. It just does its part. It handles the darkness, just like the sun handles the day. So this every 18 and a half years, the North Node moving through Taurus, Venus's sign, opening us up to our feminine, opening us up to, while we're opening up to our feminine, the South Node in Scorpio, the South Node through Mars's sign is really, again, allowing us to surrender to what's natural for us, what is going on inside of our body. That's the thing about embodiment, is like, you don't make it happen, it just is. So it's like the opposite of the masculine principle. It's like there is no action required. Actually, action will get in the way of your embodiment because it's effortless, it's flow. And so every 18 and a half years, we have this cycle of first really letting the feminine blossom and then moving into the North Node, moving into Mars's sign, where now the masculine gets to blossom in response to the feminine, right? Like this is the dance that has really captivated my fascination, and so I'm making a whole video about it. But it's like, the reason I draw this out is because on the flip side, right, like at the halfway point, at the 9-year point, we have the exact opposite. So on that side, and this is again where I'm going to put up my little diagram, on that side we have, again, the nodes are always moving retrograde, aka backwards. So again, we have the nodes moving backwards, first going through Scorpio and then going through Libra, with the North Node coming from Sagittarius into Scorpio, Mars's sign, masculine first, even though Scorpio is a water sign. This end is extra tricky. I love this end almost even more than the other end, but I love the other end really good too. That's where we're at right now. On this end, which we'll go through next in about 9 years, and we last experienced it about 9 years ago, it's that halfway point. On that end, the North Node blossoms the masculine principle first by going through Mars's sign. I also love, though, that even though we're blossoming the masculine principle, we're doing so in a feminine setting, aka a water sign. So like that's fun to chew on in your brain candy zone, in your brain as well. And then, so we bloom the masculine principle first, and then we have the North Node move into Libra, which blossoms the feminine principle again in a masculine setting, aka an air sign, a Libra, a emotionally detached yet feminine place. It blossoms in response to the more powerful masculine. It's like irresistible. It's like you can't help yourself. Again, there's a surrender to what is. So we do this dance every 9 years, and it's really fucking cool. And I'm so excited to dive into it even deeper with you in this video. So one of the first pieces that I do want to kind of like unpack a little bit more, that's gonna have to get resituated. Okay. That was all just straightening the legs. Oh, I got so in my fun of my voice that I can completely come out of my body. That happens to me all the time. Although I will say not near as much as it did before this Taurus North Node transit that we are currently in the tail end of. Actually, I'm going to show you the transits. That's a real first piece I'm going to unpack real quick, is the right now transits of what we have going on in the sky at the time I'm recording this. Number one is the actual North Node at the time of recording this is sitting with Jupiter. So that point of our future destiny unfolding, sitting with the greater benefic and that the great expander. Again, I was listening to another astrologer YouTuber the other day who actually also happens to be my life coach at the moment. And she was talking about how, like, Jupiter's origin story. I'll link that for you in the description box if you want to catch the beginning of her Sagittarius full moon video. She was talking about it, which is also today, by the way. At the time of recording this, this is a Sagittarius full moon. She was talking about how Jupiter was on its way to becoming another sun, and that didn't happen. It didn't work out that way. It stopped where it stopped, and now it's our gas giant planet in our solar system, but it also revolves, same as all the other planets in our solar system, around our singular sun. And basically the point she made, which just has like taken hold of my, again, of my fascination, is like, what would have happened if it would have become a sun? And she had the same first thought that I did. We probably wouldn't be here, because this planet hosting life is very much about it being the perfect, like, it almost impossibly so, the perfect set of circumstances to allow us to be here. And a huge piece of that is the temperature. So if there was another sun, just a few planets that way, there's no way our Earth's temperature would be what it is, and we wouldn't be here. So Jupiter was on its way to becoming a sun, but it didn't actually become a sun because that was not what was in the highest good of the all. So this Jupiter greater benefic, this expansive being, it's, I loved what she said, like, it's not expanding just for the sake of expanding. It's expanding us into what is in the greater good, the greatest good, the highest good of the all. And with that in mind, yes, we are meant to expand. We are meant to take up space, but there's also this detachment that's so beautiful with the Scorpio South Node purging everything. And that's the, I'm loving that I'm getting to include this, because I didn't think I was going to make a whole video about it, but it does fit here too, where, you know, I see everything out there in the, well, I don't see everything, but I see so many of the astrologers that I listen to, they're talking about Jupiter conjunct the North Node. And so I'm taking all of that in because it happened like 2 degrees away from my rising sign, my 0-degree Taurus rising. In my first house, this conjunction of the destiny point and the great expander, it's like on my nose. And so I'm like, whoa, what's this going to be, right? And what I've been feeling into is not so much the on the nose part, because wouldn't that be nice? But like, what I'm feeling is the effects of Jupiter opposite the South Node, right? Like, while Jupiter's conjunct the North Node, that doesn't happen all by itself. Like, that conjunction of Jupiter and the North Node means that Jupiter's also exactly opposite the South Node. And the South Node is just a couple degrees away from my 0-degree Scorpio descendant, the ruler of my 7th house. And that's what I'm feeling. I am feeling Jupiter opposite the South Node, as far as like how much of your leftover emotional gunk can we get out of you in the next like 4 weeks, right? Like, today alone of this process of like this Taurus Jupiter opposite Scorpio South Node, I've cried like 17 times already today, and mostly from an ecstatic place. Mostly from a place of like, I feel so good to be alive that it just keeps coming out of me. And then sometimes, like, while I'm crying happy tears, all of a sudden there'll be sad tears, and then there'll be mad tears, and then I'm yelling. And embodiment. This is what embodiment means, is letting it be what it is. And what I kept thinking is like, I'm so glad that I'm here by myself, because like, one, I would never be able to hold this in. And two, somebody else watching me would probably want to commit me. Like, I look like a fucking crazy person. Like, I'm having a whole spiritual experience, like, inside my body. And look, at Stella came to tell you hi. Did you want to give him some loves? You want to give me some loves? You is full of loves? Yeah. He's very good. They're all gonna be in the video, apparently. Where's Nugget? Nugget! We're only missing Nug. Yeah, so embodiment, letting it be what it is, letting the truth be what it is. And this masculine and feminine dance of understanding what is truth. What does that mean? And I think you absolutely need masculine and feminine in order to really deeply understand what's true. Because, like I was saying at the beginning of the video, like, I believe all of us are feminine and masculine. So if we are disintegrated in either of those sides of ourselves, we know not what is true for us, because we have a huge big chunk of ourselves sitting around in our shadow. That's what I'm feeling. It's like Jupiter opposite the South Node is like yanking back, like literally opening a valve of whatever else is in my shadow and allowing it to come to the surface. And that, South Node in that Mars ruled Scorpio sign, the South Node purging the masculine, this past pain that like was so fucking awful that I couldn't even face it until the last couple weeks, and all of the resources that were able to click into place in my life these last 18 months, Taurus North Node resources coming to us that help us to have the just like the best life experience that you can have. And that's different for every person, like what exactly you want that to be. But that Taurus deeply embodied in your inner self, your inner vessel, the truth of who you are, that feminine North Node cycle of allowing whatever is you, like allowing yourself to see the beauty of that, the natural beauty of exactly who you are. And while you're doing that, while you're falling more and more and more in love with the natural beauty of who you are, Taurus North Node, the masculine parts of you are coming to you in that love, in that newfound self-acceptance, and saying, what about this? What about this pain? What about this wound? What about this awful, traumatizing event that we have blocked from our memory? Can we figure out how to love this too? And with Jupiter conjunct the North Node, what I feel more than anything, I manifested, a friend of mine that I met almost like right after the North Node entered Taurus, and we've been, developing our friendship now for the last like over a year. And she recommended to me that I sit in on this free wealth retreat from this practitioner who my friend had like signed up for a whole year container with this woman, and she's phenomenal. And she had told me about her and how phenomenal she was multiple times. And so when I saw a free wealth retreat, I'm like, I'm in, I'm there. And it was online. It was like so amazing. And this was the same week that Jupiter entered Taurus. I'm going to put the dates on the screen because I don't remember off the top of my head. But while we were having the free wealth retreat, going through the days, it was 5 days in a row, Monday through Friday. It was like 6 o'clock in the morning, my time. I'm super early bird anyway. It was so perfect. It was dark. The world was dark. And here I am in my darkness, in my feminine fucking power, feeling myself come to life in a way that I have never felt before. And so much of the part that really, really resonated with me, I'm gonna put her information in the description too, because holy fucking shit, the part that really resonated with me was when she talked about your wealth womb, and that this is like, whether you identify as male or female doesn't matter, like energetically we all have a wealth womb. And if you have an actual womb, like the biology of that, that's where it is. And if you don't, that's where it is. And so basically it's like a chakra thing. It's like an energetic space in your vehicle that is extremely tied to your sex, to your sex organs, Scorpio South Node. So like it made total sense that as she did a fantastic job, literally phenomenal. I see where Jodi's coming from. She did a fantastic job of relaxing me, allowing, like creating this space and talking us through it in a way that allowed my nervous system to relax in a way that like I've never gone this deep into myself. I've never traveled in my wealth womb. Like, I know not of what you speak, but I'm totally open and I think I'm here for a reason. And it's a wealth retreat, right? Like you think you're going to manifest money. No, no. Wealth as in a wealth of abundantly good feeling life experience is what I'm manifesting from it so far. Obviously, this was only like, a few weeks ago, maybe like early May, I'm pretty sure, is when all that was going on, the wealth retreat. And what came up for me personally as I sat with my wealth womb and my abundance and my life force energy and, who and what am I in this world and what do I want my life to be, and really calling my power into that space of creation, what came up for me was a shit ton of sexual shame and total repression of, I think I'm up to like 8 now, in like moments in my life where I was sexually shamed by one of my parents. And I, in all of my healing journey for the past nearly 7 years and kind of off and on for 4 years before that, like in all of that time, I've healed a lot of things. And I think like all, processes, we start on the surface with the part that we can face. And there is a very real reason why these wounds only came to me after, 15 months of the Taurus North Node really magnetizing like all of these resources to me. So many resources that supported me dropping into my feminine, into my feelings. And I'm going to link a video below that talks about, like, I think I made this maybe in like February or March of 2022. So like right after the Taurus North Node journey started for us all. And just know that like everything I talk about in that video has only intensified after I made the video. And basically the video is like, I just can't stop crying. I just can't stop. Like these waves, like fucking powerful waves of intense emotion just keep rolling through me. And that opening of letting the emotions come, that started literally 2/22/2022, the day that I hosted my first Sacred Circle on my Patreon. Little teeny plug, like go check it out if you're called. It's a community where we have spiritual conversations. The day I hosted that first Sacred Circle, when I sat in that space, gathered with about 10 of all women, it happened to be, it didn't have to be, but all women, and we sat in this space of like seeing each other on our spiritual paths. And as I welcomed us all into that space, I broke down, and it took me like over a minute to get myself together enough to say anything else. I just sat there and like basically cried slash tried not to cry, but couldn't hold it in. It had to come out, and we all just sat there in that moment of silence. And that was the beginning. And when I got off that Sacred Circle, I just fucking like bawled for hours, it felt like, just until it felt like there was nothing left. And then the next day it started where like it was about 6 weeks where I just cried off and on all day for 6 weeks. I mean, that's all I did. At the time, like, if for those of you who are wondering, like, how the fuck did she do that? At the time, I was on a contract. I had actually gotten a grant to create a training course. And so, I mean, I was able to do that, like, literally 24/7 whenever I felt like it. And so that was really helpful that I was on a project where I was working on my own anyways, and I got to completely set my own schedule so that I could ride these waves. And I did make the training course. I actually released one of the videos the other day on the channel, or shared it on the community tab. Anyways, that's how I ended up in a space where I did have the freedom. And honestly, that project that set me up like that, I attracted it during during the Gemini North Node that came before the Taurus North Node cycle. But again, that was kind of the beginning of like attracting these resources to myself that would allow me to have the space and safety. I cannot emphasize enough how much safety plays a part when you're exploring your feminine, because you relax into it, right? Like it's that simple. Like, right, you don't have to take action. It is something that just is. And so all you can do is relax into it. That's the only way to get to your feminine, is to fall in. Let it happen. And most of us are clenched fucking shut and not in a mood to surrender to anything, or at least I wasn't. And so allowing myself to sink into safety, it started with the Sacred Circle, and it just continued to unfold these last, like, I mean, I still, like I said today, like I've just cried like all morning, and it's felt really good. And there have been some that were kind of sad, but even the sadness doesn't really feel bad. It's just kind of intense. It's just a different sensation in the body. And if you saw me from the outside, I probably look like I'm in agony, but really the release of it feels pretty good, if I had to say so myself. It's a very nice release. It's like a pressure valve of allowing what's in there to come out, and then it's not in there anymore. It's like melting it to where it no longer exists inside you anymore. And that's what I've felt as I've done this North Node through Taurus journey of opening up into my feminine. I've relaxed my body. My body is at ease more than ever before. And now that I'm, at peace, and maybe you are too, or at least way more than we were before, right? We're not reaching for perfection, just more. That's just the general heartbeat of the universe. It's just more, more, more. That's all. That's not unusual. That's not greedy. That's not unnatural. It's totally normal that we evolve as we're here. So now that we're gonna, make this switch into the North Node moving through the masculine, I talked in the Aries North Node video, if you saw that as I went through the keywords, I talked about sexuality. And the very first thing that I said, it's so adorable. When I watch back, I recorded that before the wealth retreat, mind you, if you're really tracking my whole story here, that Aries North Node video and that discussion of sexuality was before I got hooked in to my wealth womb. And I'm in there now. And it's like night and fucking day that the difference in embodiment that I have. And at this point, sexuality feels like the most, like, speaking of feminine being easy, natural, you relax into it. Like, when you really relax your body, what happens is you get really turned on. You get really aware of the energy, the electricity, another word for energy, the electricity freaking running through your body. And the North Node going through Mars's sign of Aries, like that is taking advantage of how safe we feel and opening us up into a new leading edge of our experience. Oh, dear friends, thank you so much for hanging out with me and chewing on this brain candy of a contemplation of this cycle of the feminine and the masculine and the nodes of fate, opening them up one after the other, and then the other after the one, and then the one after the other, and then the other after the one. And that cycle, that inhale and exhale, the natural heartbeat of the balancing of our masculine and feminine that is happening every 18 and a half years, every 9 years. Like, there is this dance of the rebalancing and the reintegrating of both sides of who we are. And we go through the Taurus and Aries version, and that's utter perfection. And we go through the Scorpio Libra side, the North Node through those, doing them in reverse, the masculine into the feminine into the masculine into the feminine into the masculine. It's so fucking beautiful. Like, I feel this is the most extreme version of this that I've ever recorded, and this is such a beautiful note to end on. Like, I have podcast episodes out there on my I Learned podcast where I'll talk for like 40 minutes just to make like one little point, just to be like, okay, so now you understand, and this, and that's it. Like, that's the whole thing. Like, the lead up, like, you have to get in the right context to be able to like let this really sink in. And I feel like this is what this series has ultimately wanted to reveal to me personally, and to anybody else who wants to watch it, is this dance of the feminine into the masculine into the feminine into the masculine into the feminine, the feminine into the masculine. The harmony between the two that is natural. It's like, I feel like there's a lot of effort. There's a lot of that masculine principle that is being purged through the Scorpio South Node. That releasing of the masculine wound that says, I have to make it happen. Because the Taurus North Node is here to tell you, no, you don't. And actually, the more open your pause, the more you're able to receive, right? The less you believe you're making it happen, the more you're able to receive. So come to it from a place of receptivity. And then, like, that inner fire that burns just because you are, the natural life force energy that is our body being alive and animated, and our heart beating, our lungs breathing, like, it's just so natural, it's so beautiful. And then it's like you get that fire going with the Taurus North Node, and then you like pour kerosene on it with the North Node going through Aries, and you see what's possible when you are deeply empowered, and then you're handed a dose of like I don't like those words that came first, but they were real world power. But I would say, like, that makes sense for me growing up when I did, as far as the patriarchy rules. So, real world power from my conditioned standpoint is patriarchal power. So, like, masculine power of having influence over other people in the outright, like, you're the boss, you say, and they do. And that exists. That's part of frameworks everywhere in our world, is that masculine power of, somewhat having a certain amount of control over another person. But every 18 and a half years, we go through this beautiful cycle of what I think is essentially grounding that power, that masculine power, back into the feminine, like zipping them back up to where you would never use the masculine power without the feminine power. You would never exercise your control over someone in a way where you're not also empathically receiving the consequences of the impact that you're having, right? Like that receptivity of what is the energy that I'm cultivating, and the control that I have over anyone else, the impact that I have over anyone else is coming to me first and foremost. And that's what that Taurus deep in your body is showing you, right? Like, we are not immune from the energetic impact of our actions on other people. You will live that impact right along with the people you're impacting. We're all in this together. So before you go wielding your sword all over the place, like the Mars North Node, right, the Aries North Node, that we only get to that burst of our power, this life force energy, we only get to that through a portal of first get in your feminine power. And the more you do that, right, it's a balance. So the more you get in your feminine, the more your masculine's coming online. And that's what's happening next. And that's what's happening, 18 and a half years from now. That's what happened 18 and a half years ago, and 37 years ago, and 50, on and on and on through history. So I think the real piece, the real piece that really wants to come through here, that I personally am integrating within myself as I bring my own masculine and feminine back together, is that they're not actually as apart as we think they are. This whole illusion of the patriarchy, it confuses us into thinking that the masculine has overpowered the feminine, but it's never true. It is an illusion. That like every 18 and a half years, when we go through this cycle of get in your body as deeply as you can, you discover the feminine power has been there the whole time. And there is a wounded masculine that keeps us from going there, but it's not the patriarchy right now. Maybe the patriarchy taught you what you know that's keeping you repressing yourself, right? Like me not going in my wealth womb, there wasn't anybody telling me I couldn't go in there. I just didn't, right? Until somebody showed me, like, here, get in there and see what happens. And I cried a lot, and I resurfaced a shit ton of sexual trauma. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me. It's like the most embodied I've ever been. And it's so cliche, but it's been here the whole time. That power has been here the whole time. So relaxing into allowing it to come online is the most revolutionary act of the feminine ever. To relax yourself to the point where you're now allowing your own masculine to flow through you in a way that is bringing your sexuality to life, bringing your pleasure to life, your drives, your appetites, your compelling forces that flow through you. They are taking hold of us in new ways. And this Aries North Node, this masculine cycle of the North Node getting to blossom that masculine energy within every single one of us, is taking us to, like I just keep hearing, new planes of existence within ourselves that we've never trekked there before, ever. And this is so fun that this is getting recorded on the Sagittarius full moon, this adventure, this opening, exploring. I have no doubt in my mind that whenever you are watching this, basically that energy of the Sagittarius full moon is blossoming within you right here, right now, regardless of when you're actually physically watching this. Ah, dear friends, the relief of vocalizing these reflections, these contemplations. It is absolutely my pleasure, I'm sure you can tell, to get to share this energy with you. I would love, 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 love to get to hear from you down below as far as what energy this moved inside of you. I am always curious about the experience and the perspective that is opposite from mine. I feel like we really get to like look into some different crevices and parts of ourselves when we get to hear those very varied reflections. So, thank you again for joining me. It has been my pleasure. Until next time, I do hope that you will take really, really, really good care of the so many words, multidimensional, universal, meta universal, trans universal, energetic being that you are. Please take care. And by that, I do specifically mean relax. Relax. And so will I.